Welcome back. Now we're just going to start with the variables. What are variables basically? Variables are the containers in which you can save the value so that you can use them later. So for example, you're going to save a number for that should be placed in a container. Just like if I just take a very real life analogy about that, they're very simple. You have a wallet, you have cards, you have currency there, and currency notes there in your wallet. So wallet is a container for your currency notes and for your cards. So just like that, we use containers. For example, if I just want to save a value in, let's say, x, in mathematical term, we always use x and y just to, most of the times, to suppose a value. So let's say x is equals to 42. Now you see I'm not typing here equals, that is the left assignment operator. By left assignment, that means you see an arrow that is from right side to the left side, so which means that 42 is being stored to the value x. So for example, if I say x, so it would return 42. So which means that I can use the value of x anytime, whenever I need that. So we can also use the division operator. For example, if I say that x divided by 2 or 4, that would return 22, which means that if we divide x by 2, we just get 21. What was x? That was 42. And we can also just change the container. For example, x was having a number that was 42, and now I just want to assign x a name that is my name. I would say x, and I'm assigning x Saad Mahmood, and now if I just say x, so it tells me that the value has been changed to Saad Mahmood now from 42 to Saad Mahmood. So the next thing is we can also assign some logical values to the variables. For example, I need to assign a true or false to a variable, and for now we're using x, so let's change that, and x, assign that true, or I can also do false here, or t or f respectively, and x, there you go, x is false. So these were the variables. We have seen variables with numbers. We have seen variables with the characters or the strings, or we have seen variables that are having logical values, true or false. So now let's get into some functions. What are functions? Functions are basically, I would say, a set of instructions written to be used redundantly. For example, I just need to add two values. I would say x plus y, and for example, if I want to add that 15 or 20 times, I have to write the same line of code again and again. Or for example, if I have to add two numbers and then take square of the resultant, so I have to write two lines for every operation again and again. So for that we have functions. For example, if I say sum, and so the good thing about Visual Studio is that IntelliSense is here and you're able to see the complete documentation arriving here with the Visual Studio and the REPL. So for example, I need to sum 1, 2, and 3. It would return 6. So 3 plus 2, that is 5. 5 plus 1, that is 6. And so some arguments have names. For example, to repeat a value 3 times, we need a function that is known as rep, the rep functions, and provide that the time argument. For example, rep, that is for the repetition, and I would say Saad, and now the time of repetitions that I just want it to repeat, that is time, sorry, rep times is equal to 3. So it says Saad, Saad, Saad. It repeats my name 3 times. So for example, I just want to take square root of a number. Let's say the number is 4. So square root of 4 is sqrt, that is square root function. QRT, there you go. Square root of 4, and it tells me 2. So this was a basic operation of functions, I would say. And now let's get into the help. For example, if I need most of the time help related to some method or some function, so what I simply do is that I just get back and forth to the documentation of the language. I have to go to the browser, search for the term, get the documentation and things like that. But here what I'm going to do is that I have to use, or I can use, a term that is help. Let's say I want to get help about some function. We have used sum. So I'll type in sum here, and as I press enter, what would happen is that the R help would pop up. Sorry for that. So for example, if you accidentally just close that, just go here and Windows, help, there you go. You can pin it. And it tells me all of the documentation that is arrived with the language. So that was the usage. You can use like this, the arguments, the details, the values, as for methods and examples. So it tells the example that you can use these kind of examples. Let's try that. For example, let's say sum 1:5. So it will return the sum from 1 to 5. So it passes in vector to sum, and it will add all the elements together. So this was about the help, and right now we can also try some more functions. For example, help, and I just need help about rep, and there you go. So this is basically replicate elements of vectors and list, and here's the description and all of the stuff. So this is the basic introduction about the R, and it was all related to using R. So by now I can expect that you know the basics of R expression, and you have learned how to create and access variables and how to call functions. You have learned a lot of stuff here in this first module. So in the next step, what we're going to do is that we are just going to take care of the data structures, and first of all the vectors, and after that we will move to the matrices and the statistics, factors, data frames, real world data, and a lot of stuff. So do like this video and comment below what you think about this. Thank you.